And back now here at the KFYR Plus News Desk, and today we are joined by Dan Varroney, a leading economic strategist and #1 Amazon bestselling author of Rethinking Economic Growth. Dan brings deep insight into global markets and the U.S. economic trends, helping us unpack the impact of Venezuela's oil reserves and recent geopolitical developments. Dan, welcome to the News Desk. I appreciate your time today.
Pleasure to be with you, and happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you as well. So, Dan, your initial thoughts when you heard the news over the weekend of the capture of President Maduro?
Well, so I think I had a number of thoughts. I think the first thing is that uh, between 100 and 300,000 Americans lost their lives to drugs coming in, illegal drugs coming in this country. I felt a sense of relief that we were getting to the core of the issue. So that was the first thing that I
Hmm.
thought of. The second thing that I thought of, when you think about it from a multi-layer chess game, right? So let's look at it from this perspective. First, when you look at the oil situation and gasoline situation, here in the United States, gas prices in the last year have fallen dramatically. They average anywhere from 2.80 down to around $2, depending on where you are in the country. From an affordability perspective, it was very good news because if the supply of oil is increased in the United States, gas prices will fall, and that will absolutely help lower inflation dramatically. Lowering inflation dramatically makes goods and services more affordable for the American people.
Yeah, Venezuela's vast oil reserve. How does this influence the global energy markets?
So I think that's a great question. So let's talk about that. So when you
Hmm.
look at the combined assets, and again, we don't really know what is or isn't in Venezuela these days, but if you put some guesstimates together and you look at U.S. production output and Venezuelan domestic or production output, the U.S. may be in control of almost 30% of global output. That's considerable for a number of reasons. One is its global security. It helps the U.S. Restock its supply, right? That's considerably important. It helps stabilize prices on an ongoing basis. In addition, what it also does is that Cuba, which is an enemy to the United States, won't have the ability to extract oil and money from Venezuela any further. That makes the domestic shores of the U.S. More secure. In addition, while the president has indicated that we're not going to mess with Russia and China in terms of the oil, he will make sure that it is sold to them, but he will make sure there will be no more black market shipments. Again, I see a domestic security component to this.
Okay. Uh, let's talk consumer impact. Historically, geopolitical interventions haven't always lowered gas prices. Why should consumers believe that this time is going to be different?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the president and the interim president of Venezuela struck a deal within the last 10 or 11 hours uh, to ship, I think it was, 50,000 gallons of gasoline to U.S. shores. We've got the capability to refine that in our refineries here in the southeastern United States. So they should believe that because we've already increased supply, and when you increase supply, you're going to lower prices. That's why consumers should believe it. The other reason why they should believe it is that this is different. This was a strategic effort by the president and the administration that there will be a longstanding positive relationship with the country of Venezuela. It will be based on helping and serving the Venezuelan people as well as helping and serving the American people, and prices will go down.
Okay. Might OPEC or other nations retaliate by cutting production, negating any price benefits for U.S. consumers?
I think that's an interesting question. Clearly speculative at the outset, but here's my thought on it regardless. I think that if in fact, and again, this is we don't know this, but if in fact the U.S. becomes in control of 30% of production and domestic production increases as a result of the administration's effort to streamline permitting and onshore drilling, I think that the U.S. will be in much better shape and won't have to worry about retaliation from OPEC.
Okay, good. I mean, well, wasn't Venezuela one of the original founders of OPEC? But what sectors of the U.S. economy stand to gain or lose from the intervention?
That is an absolute great question. So one of the things that I like to share when I'm participating in these interviews is that when we talk about oil or gasoline, it spreads throughout the U.S. economy. So there's a number of products and services. Think of everything from fertilizer, not only gasoline, but think of diesel fuel. So when we talk about lowering costs, let me give you an example of what I mean. Uh, Food products are transported with trucks that operate on diesel fuel. What this means is that lowering gas prices means it's less expensive to ship food from point A to point B. This is great news because that will not just stabilize food prices, it will lower food prices. The price of fertilizer, you can look at lower costs as a result of that. When you look at all the industrial capacity we have that's reliant upon energy in this country, it will lower their cost to produce product, which is significant. If we do that, what that means is lower costs. The other thing that when we talk about lowering costs and lowering inflation, right now, when you look at the cost of living and wages have in fact gone up. But if we lower inflation considerably, as it is on a path to do, the American people will have more buying power in food stores and in retail stores and local stores and so on.
Let's talk about the oil itself. Now, the oil that's produced in Venezuela is a heavy crude, Dan. Many big oil companies have already invested in heavy crude. They've done so in Canada after leaving in 1976 when the country kicked them out originally. Now, why would these companies compete against themselves? Why would they come back to Venezuela when they've already got themselves invested in Canada? Would it just be to control the oil output?
So I think it's another great question. So I think there's a few factors here. So first and foremost, these are business people. The oil companies are run by business people. Will they be able to extract this oil at a lower price point? Will they be able to refine it at a lower price point? If they can do that and still sell it on the open market at a not just a healthy but a healthier profit, then as business people, why wouldn't they do it? Why wouldn't they
Okay.
do it? I think the bigger challenge is that if you're in Canada, I think that this presents a competitive challenge. One of the things that I foresee in this is that Canada and Venezuela will be competing on price. I think what that will do is that will lower the cost of Canadian oil and make it much lower for the U.S. So I think that's another potential that I see happening.
Okay, let's turn to stocks. What should investors be watching for in energy stocks and in related industries?
So when you think about energy, right? So there's an energy value chain. The energy value chain, what we know is we think of the gas station. That's terrific. So we can think of Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and so on. But there are the drillers and the suppliers. So if
Hmm.
there's a lot of infrastructure that's got to be repaired or built in Venezuela, think of all the companies involved in drilling and production and maintenance of all those tools as well.
How might this intervention shape our policy going forward, or our energy policy going forward, with even foreign relations or you know other countries, OPEC countries?
So, here's what I think. I think the following. I think that what this does is that this strengthens the U.S.'s negotiating hand in international relations. There are global powers like China and Russia that need oil. This will give the U.S. And the current administration and future administrations, I might add, negotiating leverage, negotiating power, that there may be things that we want in exchange for sale of the oil. So I think globally, I see this as a global win. And the other thing that I would see here too, that we haven't talked about. So you probably remember in the 2024 presidential campaign, Donald Trump said that if he were president, that Ukraine would not have, rather, Russia would not have invaded Ukraine. Here's the
Hmm.
reality of it. When you get to $50 and beneath $50 per barrel of oil, Russia can't afford to fund a war any further. So when you look at our increased capacity and the price per barrel coming down, uh, potentially what this could do is lessen the financial situation for Russia. In other words, they won't have the money to pay for the war if we get under $50. And over time, that could lead to an end of the war in Ukraine. So there's a number of multi-dimensional chess plays going on here, and we should look at all of them, not just one or two of them.
I want to ask you about one big player we haven't talked about yet, Dan, and that's China. Venezuela owes China a lot of money, and I'm guessing a lot of this oil was, the money was being used to pay back China. We haven't heard from them. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think it presents an interesting and a potentially challenging situation. President Trump has indicated he's got a very strong relationship with President Xi. I suspect there'll be ongoing dialogue in the not too distant future about that and other things.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, well, given all these dynamics, markets, geopolitics, and economic uncertainty, what's the single most important factor Americans should be watching for in the next 12 months from you, Dan, where oil prices and the economy are heading?
So I think the thing that they should look at, the thing that they will see most visibly is as following. Pay attention to prices at the pump because you're going to see lower prices at the pump. And when you see that, you're also going to notice more money in your wallet to spend on rent, which, by the way, is lower than it was a year ago. In addition, watch for food prices to be lower as well. And I think those are really big things because affordability is a real issue. And I think that over the next 12 months, everyone in our population should be focused on those prices. I am confident they are going to come down further. They are already coming down. Gas prices are already down. There are already food prices coming down. They will come down further.
I like the way you're thinking. Dan Varroney, a leading economic strategist and #1 Amazon best-selling author of Rethinking Economic Growth. Thank you for your time today, Dan. Appreciate the good news.
Pleasure to be with you.